Okay, welcome everyone to our April roundtable. If just for Denise's sake, for attendance, if you could all go to where it says more, the three dots, and hover over that where it says chat. If you could just put your name and if you're associated with the unit, put the unit, just for attendance purposes, so we have a record of that. This roundtable is being recorded, and we're going to try to get it up onto our YouTube channel. So if anyone from your unit couldn't make it tonight and they still wanted to see what was going on, we'll get that up there for them.
Yeah.
And as we're working through Zoom and everything, right now you guys can still see the PowerPoint in presentation form, correct? Okay.
Yeah, correct.
If at any point I change slides and you don't see the next slide, just let me know, because we're trying to work through this the best we can. And so just a few things before we get into it. Some Zoom etiquette. I would just ask that everyone mute their microphone to reduce any background noise. Zoom will pick up on anything that goes on in the background, your kids, dogs, whatever decides to make some noise, it will pick up on that. So unless you're talking or presenting on something, we ask that you keep yourself muted. Please make sure that your background is appropriate. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to put that in the chat. Or if I ask for any questions at that point, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask. Before we really get started though, I just wanted to, I didn't put a slide in here, but I wanted to let you all know that Dan Williams has agreed to be our new district chair, if you didn't already know. So Dan will be serving in that capacity. Dan, is there anything you would like to say, or you don't have to if you don't want to?
Just hi, and hopefully I can serve you all well.
Okay, very good. Okay, first off, clearances. Janice, would you like to speak on this? I can just read off the slide if you don't.
I'll go ahead and share a little bit.
Okay.
I have been sending emails out daily. I finally got through the first list, and it's time to start on the next list. And that will be people who would be expiring June, July, and August of this year. So if you've gotten my email, I got to say, people have been really great. Response has been good. I only have a few that I'm waiting on. So I really appreciate everybody's help with that. If you're in doubt, send them to me anyway. Scan them, email them to me. Some people have said, you know, I'm sure you have it. Well, I might, but I'm not at the office anymore. And it would just really be helpful if you've got it and you can scan it, to just scan it to me anyway. More than one copy isn't going to hurt. And it would be very much appreciated. If you have questions, don't be afraid to email me. I am working remotely from home, but I'll answer your questions and do everything I can to be helpful.
Okay. Thank you, Janice. And just a good point to note, and I'm sure we talked about it a lot 5 years ago when this all started, but every unit should be keeping a copy of those on record, as well as each individual. It's not just our job to make sure that we have those. Everyone should be keeping a copy of those as per the state law in Pennsylvania. And if you're curious, that's basically what we're looking at that you need. If you need a refresher, I'll keep that up for a minute. Does anyone have any questions on the clearances? And again, if you were here 5 years ago, you're probably up now or close to it. So make sure you're checking them. Okay. For training, and we'll get to Wood Badge on the next slide for Steph. But our IOLS and Blue for the spring will be postponed. We're just gonna hold it in the fall instead of having a spring one as well. So if you had already signed up or know someone who has already signed up, their registration will be good for our fall IOLS and Blue. And NYLT is being postponed to be determined. Any questions on those trainings before we move into Wood Badge? No? Okay, Steph, if you'd like to talk on this, and when you're ready to switch slides, just let me know and I'll move to the next one.
Okay, great. The slide previous to this said all trainings are postponed. That is except Wood Badge. Wood Badge is currently ongoing and will be continuing. It's held August 21st to the 23rd and September 12th to the 13th of this year. Registration fees currently are $290 with a $100 non-refundable deposit when you register. The forms are on the website for both the registration flyer and also a scholarship. So if you don't feel that you have the funds to be able to participate, but would like to participate, there's a scholarship form for Susquehanna Council adults only, because that's where the funds are coming from. And that also is available on the website for the council. If you do not have access to the website, I can give you my email. Just privately chat me and ask for it, and I will send you the registration form and also the scholarship form. We also have a website specifically for Wood Badge. It's the course number, which is www.n453320, and it's either .org or .com. Type in either one of those and it'll get you to the right spot. The registration flyers are on there as well. So as of right now, Wood Badge is continuing. And if there's any changes, anybody that's already signed up will get an update. Who's hollering? The current fee right now is due May 1st. It's $290. And after May 1st to July 20th, it is $325. And as you can see, you need all three parts of the medical form. So I heard somebody trying to speak to me. I'm not sure who it is. I can't see everybody that's on the list. So who needs to talk? Okay, hearing none, I guess it's back to you, Brian.
Okay. You have any other questions on Wood Badge? You can unmute yourself and ask. Okay. Popcorn. Walt has been working really hard with getting popcorn ready for the fall. He had sent out a survey of what units wanted for incentives. And the consensus on that were the Keller prizes and the 3% cash option. The popcorn kickoff set for June 29th. Dennis, do you know, that might be Seven Bridges date? Do you know offhand?
Off the top of my head, no. Let me just check that for you right now.
Okay. And could always use popcorn people. Walt's especially looking for a council popcorn kernel. So if you're interested in serving the council in that role, or know anyone that you think is super great at fundraising and loves selling popcorn, send them Walt's way and you can get them set up with that. Is there any questions on popcorn? Seeing none. So I'm sure that you've all seen Jake has been pushing it out in the newsletter and everything, but we're having a scouting at home challenge. And this artwork here is the patch that you can earn if you complete the requirements. And not only do we have an option for the youth, but we've also included requirements for adults. So make sure that you're encouraging your youth to keep scouting during this time, but we don't want to leave you out as well. So we have set up a list of requirements for adults to do, and you can also, if you check off all those boxes, you're eligible to purchase the COVID-19 Scouting from Home patch. And speaking of scouting at home, tomorrow night we will be having a virtual campfire starting at 7 p.m. If you tune into our Facebook page, we'll be broadcasting that through Facebook Live. And we've had a lot of scouts from both districts, scouts and scouters, send in videos of skits and songs and a really good variety of a lot of different things. So it's going to be a really, really fun program. So I hope to see all of you tune into that. And if you didn't send in something, if we end up doing this again in the future, hopefully this will inspire you to send something in.
Brian,
Yes.
the kickoff for Bald Eagle will be on the 30th of June.
Okay. So I'll make sure I'll make that change before I send this out to you all tomorrow.
Brian,
Yes.
I had a question about the online training for the patch or whatever.
Sure.
Do they have to be through myscouting.org, or can they be any BSA online training?
That's a good question. Dennis, do you have an answer for that?
Send us what you're taking, Steve.
Okay. Well, I was, it was the NCAP area visitation.
Sure.
Ultimately, the question was, are you looking at myscouting.org to see what's been done, or how do we prove that we did an online training? Ultimately is what the question was.
Okay, so that's a different question than your original question.
Right.
We are looking at the myscouting.org in that, number one, it will help us to know that a lot of our volunteers have gone on and registered with myscouting.org. Does that make sense?
Yep. Answers my question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions about our scouting at home or our campfire tomorrow night? Again, I really hope to see you all tune in for that.
I don't see Jake on here. Do you have an idea of participants for the videos that were turned in?
I do not. I can reach out and ask him and let you all know tomorrow when I send everything in. But he was getting all that. I'm not sure exactly who he got things from.
Okay, just hoping for a big turnout.
I'll get you that answer, Dan. By the way, I can guarantee you right now that since you asked that question, Brian's going to be on the campfire tomorrow.
That should go without saying.
Good. Anything else? Seeing none. Moving on to our camporee. So unfortunately, with everything going on, as most of you know, our spring camporee could not happen as scheduled. But fortunately, we're able to move it to the fall. Those dates are October 2nd to the 4th. We're hoping for the same theme and everything. So far it's looking like everything's going to be able to transfer over fine. So if you were excited about this camporee and you're disappointed that it wasn't going to happen, we're still going to hold the same camporee just a couple months later. They did get me artwork for the patch. So I think it's a pretty neat patch. We'll just have to change spring camporee to fall camporee now. But that's what that's gonna look like. And instead of our camporee, we wanted to do a big day of service. We're still planning on the Williamsport Cemetery that has been postponed. But we're looking for some other projects to do. And I know I put out an ask to our committee last week, and I put out an ask a couple times. But if you know of any even small projects in your community, let me know, and I'd love to try to organize something there. We are looking into helping the STEP program. I've reached out to them, and we're on their list now of any projects that come up for them that they feel scouts are able to do. We're
Hey,
also
Brian?
yes.
I have received at least 2 emails from community food banks that are looking for units that may want to do a contactless food drive where if they promote it on social media, if they start making phone calls, and then maybe they have boxes out on the lawn of the Cub Master where people can drive by and drop off canned food and non-perishables, and then the food bank will come pick up the boxes.
Okay, good. And I've also spoken with the people at the office of the aging, and we're on their list as well. So if they get any projects such as older folks in the community who need lawn work done, things like that, that your youth can do from a distance and not have to be in contact with anyone. They don't have anything right now, but they said the weather is getting warmer and it's right around this time that they get a lot of requests. So we're on their list for that, and hopefully we'll be getting something from them that we can do. Any questions on day of service or anything you know of now that you can suggest?
Hey, Brian, I checked with them and they're waiting for whenever we say we can do it, then we'll set up that date with the cemetery.
Okay, but they're good to go at any time?
I just
Okay.
talked to them just the other day and they said when we're ready.
Okay, I will see when we're able to do something and I'll update you as soon as I can. Anything else? Date camp registration is open on Black Pug. The leader's guide is out, and it's a great time for youth that are not ready for resident camp or those who want to do both. Day camp's a great opportunity for the scouts especially those who aren't ready for resident camp. But if any of your parents maybe are concerned about resident camp with COVID and everything, and they're not sure if they want to send them to camp at all, suggest day camp because they're not staying overnight. It's a lot easier for social distancing and things like that. But that registration is open on Black Pug. And if anyone needs the link to that, I can get it for you. I had put this out a few weeks ago, but the report to the Commonwealth, it's a big event in Harrisburg. Scouts from all over the state gather there. As of now, it's happening as scheduled on June 9th. We probably know soon if that's going to be rescheduled. But I've had very few scouts apply for this, and I'd really like to see a lot of scouts, a lot of bald eagle scouts too, go to this event. It's a really great opportunity, and we're building good citizens here. I think they should all be excited to go to their state capital and meet their state leaders, governor, representatives. It's a crucial key part of our program. Are there any questions on that? To apply, that's the link right there, the email me form. But you can also scan this QR code and it'll take you right there. Again, I'm looking mainly for youth, but if any of you want to go to the Capitol and hang out there for a day, we're more than happy to take adults as well.
Ron,
Yes.
do you have an agenda kind of set up for that? Like what time you're meeting people, where you're leaving from, or if you're going to meet somewhere specific down there?
I don't have anything yet. I'll talk to Jake. He kind of had that initial contact with them and see what time everything's going on and if they even have an agenda for the day or anything out yet.
Okay, because that could be hindering people from officially signing up if they're, the whole day's blank.
Right. Yeah, I will see what we have for that. Good question. If there's nothing else on that, I will turn it over to Mike Sullivan.
Thanks, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I appreciate the invitation tonight. I want to speak to you about Jamboree that's coming up, Jamboree 2021. You can see here is our council shoulder patch being displayed. For those of you who've been down to Bechtel already, in the summit, you recognize the Console Energy Bridge is on the slide. We have somebody doing rock climbing, and then we have a zip liner. And right now, those are the patches they've designed, and they're coming out. They'll be for a fundraiser for us, $5 each. We'll spread that out throughout the council. I'm really excited to talk to you about Jamboree tonight. So Brian, if you would, next slide. There you go. There's a picture of the amphitheater. I was there 4 years ago. We had a great time. They didn't get the 40,000 people. They got over 30,000 people. You can see the amphitheater at the lake. Next slide. We had a lot of venues. I didn't recognize the bands, but the kids sure did. For this one, Brian hit a couple of buttons there. All right, so there are the dates, July 21st to July 30th. The registration is actually two parts. The first part is send it to the council office with your deposit. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the second part is you register online with National. That information will then go to the council to get approved. So it's going to be a two-part step. Next slide, please. All right, the overall cost, $1,775. For those of you who are not familiar with how Jambo structures it, the National takes a large chunk of that money to run the program. The rest of the money is for us to get a bus, pay for food back and forth, and any of the backpacks, t-shirts, any of the bling we're going to have for their uniforms. So our price went up exactly $200 from National last year. They added $200. Council only added an additional $25 this year. So we kept our cost almost exactly as it was 4 years ago. There are scholarships, and how that works is when you sign up on National's website, They ask you if you would like a scholarship opportunity. You answer about 10 questions. They're all things your parents should know off the top of the head, such as what's your ability to contribute to the Scout? What is the Scout doing to contribute to raise his or her own funds for the trip? What is the council doing to help? Are you doing fundraisers? Those types of activities. For those who have multiple Scouts going in the same family, that's information you want to add too, so they can consider that. I'd like to point out what's in red there, the bottom bullet. The campership sign-up date is May 31st of 2020, which is coming up fast. About 5 weeks left. So if you have Scouts interested in Jamboree and they need that campership opportunity, they really need to sign up here and get that paperwork in not later than May 31st. You can all imagine with COVID going on right now, with the stay-at-home orders and how it's affecting everybody's economic cycle, Nationals being overwhelmed with campership requests. So we want to make sure our troops get those scholarship opportunities in early and that we don't miss those opportunities. Next slide. All right, here's a couple things you'll do down at the Summit for Jamboree. In the background, that's the Council Energy Bridge. No, actually, that's not. That's the River Gorge Bridge there in the background. Console's in the center bottom. You can see the Council Energy Bridge, the zip line, and a view of the campsite there on the bottom left. So it's in the New River Gorge. Beautiful area. There is river rafting. There are zip lines and challenge courses, rappelling and rock climbing, mountain biking, which is a lot of fun unless you blow your tire out going down the mountain. It was a great experience changing a tire 4 years ago. And shooting. The shooting's incredible. It's about a 45-minute walk from the campsites, and they fire basically in all directions off the mountaintop. Beautiful area, lots of shooting, lots of safety range. Guys assigned there, and it's a great time for that. Next slide, please. All right, the staffing. We are looking council-wide to send 60 Scouts to this opportunity. I've spoken with Dennis Dugan, and he agrees. If we get more, we'll find additional adult leaders. Right now, we're looking for 40 Scouts from Seven Bridges and 20 Scouts from Bald Eagle is our initial buy-in. Total of 60 Scouts. We're doing really well with Seven Bridges right now. They have commitments almost up to 20 Scouts. They're about halfway of what they're going to fill for the contingent. We need Bald Eagle to get on board and contact us with Scouts who are interested from Bald Eagle as well. Again, we'd like to take 20 Scouts from Bald Eagle. We'd also like to see some leadership step up. We have some training opportunities coming up I'll talk about, and we'd like to see some of the adults from Bald Eagle participate in those as well. And if somebody's really interested in going to Camporee, we want them to talk to us as well and see what opportunities are open for that. You see Dennis Dugan is our staff advisor, so you can always ask him questions. And our committee chair is Mike Stender. Next slide, please. All right, so here's the preparation we're going to do. In addition to the committee meetings we have at council level, which would include any of the adults interested from Bald Eagle, which right now we're doing via Zoom, we'll have a couple of troop meetings for the contingent Scouts. We're going to have 2 overnight campouts, which will be done at Camp K. The reason that it's Camp K is the cost is really cheap for us. This is a contingent that comes together without equipment from all different troops throughout the council. Camp K allows us to keep the cost down. We can use Edna Sherry camping. We can use the buildings on there to hold our training, and there are places for us to go hiking and do our team building activities. So those will both be held at Camp Karunanad. They're already reserved. And then we're going to have 2 hiking trips. 4 years ago, they went to RB Winter State Park, and they also went to the Ricketts Glen Falls for a hike. That'll be based on how many Scouts we get from where and the leadership the kids have. The Scouts will actually vote on where they want to go for trips. We'll work on a packing list for them. Then we're going to do council fundraisers to make sure we get that price down so it's affordable to all our Scouts. Next slide. All right, these are the participation requirements. Of course, you have to be current BSA membership in a troop or varsity team. You have to at least be first-class Scout. So for the Scoutmasters, if you have a younger Scout, we ask that you work towards getting them to get the rank of first-class Scout prior to the start of the Jamboree. It's one of the things we have to do as leaders to make sure that they have met that requirement. At least 12 years of age when Jamboree starts in July of 2021. Or if you're 11, you graduated the 6th grade. And then on the other hand, you can't be 18 anytime during Jamboree. So if you turn 18 the day after Jamboree, you can go. But if it's anytime even during Jamboree, you'll be excluded because of age. And then you have to get approved by your leadership, the council, and the national accepts you as well. Next slide. All right, of course, parents have to sign online, give consent. You'll do the training we just spoke about. You'll need your health and medical record updated within 1 year of attending Jamboree. And then, of course, you have to pay the filing fees direct to council, and they will collect it, and they make the payments to national on your behalf. Next slide, please. All right, one more slide, if you would. So this is the contact information for me, Mike Sullivan, Jamboree Scoutmaster. Here's my email address and my cell phone number. I think Dennis will back me up on this. I do not sleep. I get calls all the time, 2, 3 in the morning, doesn't matter. I answer them, text messages as well. I'd like you all to get energized and try to get the scouts out. I've not seen any interest yet from Bald Eagle. COVID makes it harder. I wanted to do this in person with you tonight. That's preventing us from in person, all our good social distancing. But I am committed to answering all your questions, getting you excited about it, and getting your scouts involved. So with that, I'll open myself up for any questions.
The scholarship deadline was May 1st or May 31st?
May 31st, that's a great question. And the scholarship amount is up to $600. So
Okay.
that would come from national. And those are primarily organizations, corporations that have donated money to scouting, specifically for scouts to go to Jamboree.
Okay. Thank you.
And that money is not money the scout sees, it goes directly off the bill.
The 1775 is all inclusive, all weekends, all trainings, all outings?
Nope, good question, but it's pretty close. So last time we did this 4 years ago, I want to say the hikes were $8 each, and that just covered water and gas money back and forth for the leaders. And I think the weekends were $20, and that just covered the food and the rental of the cabin for the weekend. We are looking at fundraising this year differently than we did 4 years ago. And that would be one of the things I'm looking to do, is to cover those events as part of the 1775. So the other things that are not covered would be Lickies and Chewies at Jamboree. So if your scouts go down there and they want to buy t-shirts and patches, that would be out of pocket. That 1775 will cover transportation down and back, the uniform requirements, as far as the circle to go around the floor to lead, the epaulettes, the slide, the neckerchief, the t-shirts, the backpack, all those things that we come together as a group, we're going to include in that price. So really, it's the extra money above when they want to go to the commissary and buy any additional drinks and snacks and patches, basically, is what you're looking at. Another good question. Anybody else have questions? All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity again. I'm going to stay on here in case anybody at the end of the night has any questions. And please reach out via cell phone or that email address. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. And, personally, I went to Jamboree in 2010 and loved it so much that I wanted to go again, but I was turning 18 in 2013. So I signed up for staff. So I've been twice. I'd go again if I could. Probably, other than working on camp staff, the highlight of anything I've done in this program. So really go back, tell your scouts it's one of the best things that they'll do in this program.
And Brian, that's a great point. If I could, something really cool I forgot to mention. I have a longer slide deck. I try to make it brief for you tonight. I will tell you, when I went 4 years ago, 36 scouts. We were able to have 12 of those scouts assume leadership positions. The scouts worked through their weekends. They selected their own leaders who then performed throughout the occasion. I'm going to find the number of the 36, but I'll bet you at least 30 of them have made Eagle Scout. They had a great experience. They went through the training. They led their scouts through there to energize them. It energized the adult leaders. And it was a real pleasure coming back. The last of them now are making their Eagle Scouts. I've been to so many Eagle Scout ceremonies. Some of the scouts who've graduated have gone on to the military and other jobs, and they send me requests for letters of recommendation about their experience and just to say hi and send pictures. It's been 4 years. We're still getting hits on Facebook for the pictures we took 4 years ago. As family members here, oh, you went to Jamba, show me, and the kids show it. So we've made those types of tools available to you as well. And as leaders reach out for information, I'll make those things available to you too. Thanks, Mike.
So I can add in here, I have not been to Betchel, but in 1997, I went to the Jamboree at Fort AP Hill, and of my entire scouting career, I can tell you that's the most memorable experience of all, outside of probably my Eagle. It was just a great time, and I would really suggest, coaxing your kids and your troops to try to. I can the attendees getting Eagles. I was with Bucktail Council, and I want to say we sent 50 plus kids. I'm still friends with majority of them. Many of them got to go. I don't know if they do it at Betchel, because again, this was a long time ago for me. One of the neat things we had was the group of what you call it now, kids from China, like an exchange student. It was an exchange scouting program. So with us, we had 3 from China, and it was neat. We kept contact for quite a few years. But yeah, I definitely, when my boys are old enough to go, we'll be going.
DJ, I appreciate it. It's a great pitch too. I'll tell you, we have a question here from Katie Kleckner, who wants to know about scholarships. So you will be notified if you get a scholarship from National, but they won't do it until well after the May 31st deadline. Second question I had is it co-ed? Yes, it's co-ed. We have 3 female leaders already, and we have 1 female scout signed up already. We'd love to see that number be 50-50 young men, young women going to the event, but we're definitely co-ed. A big change for us from 4 years ago, and a welcome change. Great about the leadership stuff, and to hear you talk about scouting that many years later. I wish I could tell you tonight about all the things they're going to do at the Jamboree, from the trip to the summit, the garden mount and the stone, the day of service they're going to do out in the community, the river rafting. I mean, it's hours of conversation. So please reach out. We have videos, we have pictures, we have slides, everything you need.
And this will be emailed to everyone, as well as this is being recorded, so this will be on our YouTube channel as well. So. Mike, there is one other question in the chat. What about the first class requirement for members that are in female members that are in a troop but are in a crew?
John, I don't know the answer to that, but if you could text me your email or hit my email with a question, I'll answer it and I'll pass that back out. That's a great question. I haven't had crew people before. Haven't had young ladies in the program either. We're learning as we go. So if you would use my email and send it directly, and I'd love to answer that and get that back out. I'm sure Seven Bridges folks want to know that answer too. Dennis may know. I'm not going to put him on the spot. That's a fairly specific question.
Okay. Are there any other questions on anything that was discussed tonight, or even something that wasn't discussed that you'd like to know before we move into our program? Seeing none. Denise, are you ready to give your presentation? There you go. Are you ready to give your presentation?
You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the program tonight is on historic trails. I had gone and looked up and didn't realize that we had this many historic trails in our area, quite a few in Pennsylvania and in the neighboring states. So the next slide. there is a Historic Trails Award, and you can see here, it gives you the overview of it, that you can earn. Go to the next slide. This gives you more of a detail. It's a good program. If you're going to go hiking, you might as well earn something with it. So just, you can print that out, fill it out and send it in after you do your hike. The next slide. Okay, there's the trails in PA. And I just Googled them and brought them all up. And like I said, I didn't realize that there was so many in Pennsylvania. And of course, we have one right in our backyard. The next slide. And then there's a list of ones outside of Pennsylvania and not too far away. And then also the next slide.
I lost you again.
Yeah.
I have a bill for 570 317.
Okay, and then the Trails with the BSA Awards. Of course, everybody's pretty much familiar with Gettysburg. That's always a fun one to do. And there's Antietam. I've been there once, and it was a very interesting hike, and we learned a lot down there with that one. And then there's also Valley Forge that you can go to, that they have a program for scouts. So just some food for thought, getting kids out and about, and they can earn something while they're doing it. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question per se. I think Washington, D.C. has a trail as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I vaguely remember the Waits working on it at some point.
I'll definitely check into that. Thank you. No other questions? Back to you, Brian.
Okay, and just a point to make. The list that Denise found is the official list that the BSA recognizes as the historic trails, and they all qualify for that award and everything. And the ones that we highlighted there are just 3 examples of ones that have something outside of the historic trails award. So if you look into these, they're all on scouting.org, and they all link to the council that they're a part of. So if you're going to be near one, look into the council, see if that council offers an award or something. And right now there's not something for the Loyal Sock Trail, but maybe that's something we can look into in the future and have some kind of award for that. Is there anything else? If not, I would just like to remind you or let you know if you came in late, just for attendance purposes, if you could go into the chat and put your name, and if there's a unit that you're associated with, put that as well. Denise, I will get you that information.
Okay.
And thank you for coming. I will stay on the line for a couple more minutes if anyone else has anything they'd like to talk about. But thank you for coming, and this will be uploaded to YouTube soon, and I'll send out these slides to you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.